Hello and welcome everyone. We are here into this lovely broadcast. Of course, obviously this one is pre-recorded a little bit more. We did have a couple hiccups on the live broadcast. However, this week, which is the week of the recording, obviously, we will hopefully go back to live broadcast for week number 2. Week number 1, of course, we are here with hopefully some fantastic games. We are going to be getting underway with my brain does not want to work right now. We are going to be getting underway with the Infinity League here with Crunch Time. It's going to be a really, really fun time. My name is Orbital. With me is, of course, Ice Fire-Eyed Gaming, and we are going to be bringing you all the action, hopefully, across this series between two lovely opponents. It is going to be the ever so amazing Akuma Scythes going up against Cupid Esports in this first series. Ice, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to get this underway. It's been a little bit of a journey to get here, obviously, but it's gonna be a fun time taking a look at the teams that are in the league overall. It's gonna be hopefully a very competitive league, and some great action that we get across the few weeks that we're here. And I just can't wait to get started.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into it. As we said, these are pre-recorded, but we're going to bring you the live draft as nicely as possible. We'll kind of go through this quickly, and then we'll get right into the games because the teams are very excited. And I won't spoil anything, but it is going to be a pretty good series. So as you can see, Cupid Esports is going to be on that blue side, and of course, Akuma Scythes on the red. Both teams have played in Infinity League previously in the opening season. However, it was two drastically different teams, from my understanding. So both Akuma Scythes and Cupid Esports are running a different roster, and that in itself will be very, very entertaining. As you can see, though, pretty standard bans here. This is, of course, being played on 14.5, I think. So,
Yes.
the standard bans out. The Senna, the TF, obviously, ADTF is still high priority by some, even though it has been nerfed ever so slightly.
No, absolutely. And it's always interesting to see what the teams like to take because you have a lot of options, right? You have this Smolder on the table, and the conventional pick is usually to then go Senna on the across side so you can get that infinite scaling. And seeing the first ban of Senna and then Karma, it looks like we might be looking for a Smolder first pick coming through for Cupid.
And if you don't identify that quickly, I would assume that it's going to be a little bit shaky. However, already aiming for that Orianna Nocturne angle, Akuma Scythes taking away that very dangerous combination. Orianna on its own, it's strong, but not exactly overwhelming. It is that Nocturne kind of pairing that battery duo that you run between jungle and mid that does bring the power behind. Brand, we have not seen in quite some time. Still being banned away, can be honed in the support, mid or jungle, most likely jungle, but appropriate ban there. So decent targeting across multiple lanes. And there you were talking about it, Ice. You said, hey, listen, if you ban away the Senate, it is a little bit of a smaller angle. You got to go ahead and give respect over to a pick that has gone rampant in competitive.
And this series is played before the hot fixes too, so you don't have the nerfs on the Q and the E, so you get a lot of stacks and a lot of attack happening at once. And it looks like they're going to go for the Varus angle here, a very strong AD still in this meta, kind of the next tier down between the Smolder and the Senna.
And I mean, I would even still put it as an S tier, just not as S tier as the others, right? In the Ash is kind of the same way. A little bit of A plus S minus current range, but still very powerful depending if you want to slot it in as an ADC or even as a support, right? Can be flexed into that support role if you so wish. The Gragas now leaning in towards that top jungle side, so still keeping with the flex potential, still understanding that, hey, things are a little bit dicey for Akuma Scythes. They want to kind of have all of their opportunities available. I do agree with this one though. With the Varus in the bottom lane, you already know that the Ashe is not going to be pushing as hard. Go ahead, lock in the Nautilus. You say, okay, Nautilus, let's go ahead and just try and get some kills.
Absolutely, and a Nautilus is a great pick even into an Ashe support or an Ashe AD because of the squishy nature of that lane that it's going to be, especially if that's Ashe support. You have excellent engage to get on top of them and lock them down and just take them out of that fight early. Then the Cassante coming in topside, another excellent pick even through the nerfs. You just have a lot of power on both sides in the top and the bottom that you can play through right now.
Oh, yeah, and also the Nico to follow through, and that, rounding out the first round of pickups here, The Cassandra, like you said, being able to be a strong pickup in the top side, being very stable if you so wish. The Nico can deny a lot of that, right? You take a look at the Nautilus and the Cassandra, they both want to go in, they both want to dive. Nico is the greatest deterrent of that. Not only that, there's a high chance that you catch the Varus. The Varus is a little bit on one of the shorter range ADCs. I wouldn't say super short, but comparatively to the likes of an Ashe as well as a Caitlyn that are left on the table, you know, those are some that are a little bit further range. So very appropriate to grab that Nico, have that ability to control a lot of the team fights. Now focusing that top side specifically for Cupid, jungle angle for Akuma, that does signal to me that Gragas is heading into that jungle role. I think that's very appropriate and very understood. The Aatrox on the other side though, yeah, you can't let that one through. Now looking at a poke angle, Cupid Esports realizing that Ashe could still be flexed into that support role or into the support. So hey, got to take out some of the other ADCs, the ones that can get away from a lot of our jumps. Really nice.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks like it's going to be a Lee Sin angle coming through for Akuma. I mean, this is really an ego jungler. You have to be good on those insects to really make the most use of this champion, right? So it's great skirmishing wise, but if you can't land those key insect kicks at key moments in the game, you really just kind of, this champion falls flat on its face. It can do a lot, but it doesn't always get you over that finish line.
Ooh, yeah. I like that. I like that it kind of caught you off guard there. We were watching and we were seeing, you know, the Silas take a hover, and yeah, the Silas being
Yeah.
locked in right behind the Viego. So this is still a very dive heavy composition here. This, you were talking about ego on the side of Akuma's side to grab Viego as well as Silas into a Nico is quite surprising to me. This is a very aggressive lane matchup. Cupid Esports are saying we just want to all in and fight with that Callista at the very end. Akuma sides have a lot of ways to engage and disengage depending on how they want to fluctuate. The Cupid Esports really feels like they got one direction to go in, and that is forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually love this Silas pick because you have excellent ultimates to take on the other side of the map. You have the Nico, you have the Gragas, you have the Ashe. Three excellent engage ultimates that Silas can say, yoink, that's mine now, and we're gonna use it against you. So it's really interesting to see how they've built up their comp to go in with a lot of safety and a lot of just like different types of engage that you can do.
Mhm. It's just one of those interesting angles that we do have to watch and see how it goes. I still like the interaction between Callista and Silas, I believe. You still have to have some wonky angles to it, I think, to actually make it work. So it's finicky. So that's why we're kind of ruling out the Callista ult. Even if you can get it, though, if you get it, great way to kind of keep one of your teammates in. It's really, really powerful. But I do agree that Silas has a lot of great ults to pick up from if he can pull it off, though. So let's go ahead and get underway. Game number 1. As you can go ahead and see, this is going to be a pretty much a simple staple. And I'm extremely curious, right? We go ahead and take a look down the rosters. It is Mother Goose in the top side for Cupid Esports along Zhadox, markboots, Lokidosi, and Turc. And on the side of Akuma sides, it is Superyacht, ßirdo, Random Capitals, as well as TheKeyboarder and Failz.
Yeah, and like you said, it's the 5 point, and it looks like the Viego and the Silas, because there's a Callista, I believe, can buy the Black's spear that Callista usually can buy for her ult. And I think he linked up with a Viego, so that'll be an interesting combo. To get Viego into it just at a drop of a hat will be interesting to keep an eye for. But with this 5 point underway, it's a great start, making sure that no one can get into your jungle, not any shallow wards even. So it's going to be all up to these junglers about how fast their clears are to then engage onto these lanes whenever they are ready to do so.
Mm-hmm. It's how quickly are you going to have that priority? How quickly are you going to have kind of that pressure? And for right now, it's pretty simplistic, right? We take a look at these differences, and Esports going to go ahead and try their best to play smart, play safe. Turc, of course, though, realizing that every hook you throw will be answered by about 3 auto attacks if you do not land that hook. So Failz very much stepping forward, good damage to go down, and I mean, this is how this lane works out on the bottom side for at least levels 2 to 3. Then maybe we get to see a change, but right now, I mean, no real big difference.
Yeah, and it's all up to Cupid's bot lane. They have to soak up XP here, right? You're not going to be able to get as much CS right now, and even post level 6. I mean, the only engage opportunities that you're going to have onto this Ashe are pretty much pre-level 6. Once Kalista gets that post 6, and she has access to that ult, anytime that you want to engage onto this Ashe, it's really going to be all for naught because she can just yoink her out at a whim as long as she's within range. So you really have to time the Kalista ult and all of the sums even that more closely to make sure you can do a punish. As it looks like they got the third wave crash in, so they're just looking to get into river and try to see where this Viego is going to be and if he's going to go for that bot lane scuttle.
I mean, if they do wish to go there, it would be a little bit of a test. You can see the clear speed right now from Birdo is being matched. Going for that blue buff last, just trying to clear out the easy camps. And of course, with that situation also occurring, it's... I mean, I'm kind of curious in your eyes, who is actually benefiting from this kind of simple situation, right? As you were talking about Zhadox clearing off and trying to go for this gank, and it's immediately read by the likes of Birdo. As soon as I asked that, it feels like Akuma are the ones that are actually okay in this situation, dueling out between Zhadox and Birdo. Everyone is kind of left to their own demise, but Zhadox is going to go for this scuttle. You were asking who is really going to have priority over it. Looks like Zhadox wins it out.
Yes, absolutely, and the reason for that is you can see as we do have a fight, a little bit of a skirmish breaking out. Flash being blown by Varus. Looks like Zhadox is going in, turning around, seeing if they can't make something happen. An excellent hook by Turc onto the Lee Sin. The first blood goes over to the Kalista.
And now it's going to turn even further. That's Akuma Scythes looking for a chance. They try and turn it around, but it's not going to work. That is just a simple kill all the way through. Double kill. Going the way of Failz. Might be support Ashe, but right now, it's the carry.
Absolutely. And the reason why this worked was, yes, Zhadox got that push for the Scuttle Crab, but that's because they bounced the wave just slightly too early, so they didn't have a roam timer to get there and support their Lee Sin. And what they did instead is they cleared the wave very fast with an Ashe with the Kalista. It's very easy to do so. And it allowed them to bring the Lee Sin in and create a gank that was just, they're too strong right now. Nautilus isn't tanky, and there's just a lot of damage coming through with this Hail of Blades Ashe that they weren't expecting.
It's very, very powerful. Not only that, starting to fight a little bit on the weaker side. So, you know, Zhadox losing out on that angle, it's actually very difficult to actually climb back from. So, for the side of Cupid, already being beset on all edges and even trying to go for these grubs. It's going to be a problem, though. Birdo already seeing a ward over the side. All you need to do is steal one to pretty much stall out the grub take. And yeah, you're going to jump in, smite it away, and it's an easy, easy take. Zhadox even retreating here as they also got one. It's actually going to be random capitals that's going to be wanting forward. I like the attempt to turn into a minion, but it's not really going to work. In they go, though. This is going to be another challenge. Pop Blossom comes up, only catches one, and now Turc can look to turn it around. That'll be a little bit of a shape shift. Random capitals, they can take it low. On the bot side, we're seeing a change up, though. The Ashe on the roam. I didn't even see that one. It was Failz that recalled, headed straight top, actually killed off Mother Goose.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is great roaming by the support of Akuma Scythes, making sure that they may not get the grubs. It looks like they do get the second one. Birdo able to get over the wall for that, but because they knew they only needed to grab the two, they don't really care about that. A small skirmish happening, but noting that Mother Goose wasn't roaming and that the Superyacht was pushed under but still had enough in order to take a fight, they decided to push Failz top side and punish Mother Goose for overstepping and not respecting the roam of Failz.
Dangerous, dangerous spot to be in, and with that call down, Akuma Scythes to give themselves a hefty lead, right? We're looking at about a 2.5k advantage, which is more than enough to cause some confusion. And honestly, with this jostling of positioning, the Dragon is pretty much anyone's game, right? A challenge from Birdo onto those grubs, which is giving them a 2-1 lead on that, now means that this Dragon is up. Normally we see 3 grubs for 1 Dragon. This is an Infernal trick, though. You don't want to give it away. So I really like it. Not only that, neither top laner will be joining. And in a 4v4 situation, Failz and TheKeyboarder and Birdo all have maximum strength right now. To me, catch though, Pop Blossom is being used, and capitals Gonna be eating up a lot of damage before this objective. Now a chance on the back end though. ßirdo looking to bring their own, and that might be a problem. markboots, 2 spears and you're dead. Turning it around as you can. It looks like Akuma Scythes are just reaping their way through. 3 dead and a flash, and it's easy. Akuma Scythes win that fight.
Absolutely, and you can see the power of this Kalista Ashe combo. Ashe isn't even 6 yet, but still is able to come around, give out just enough damage with that hail of blades to turn that fight, and then be able to re-engage it, because since they left Kalista down bot, got a lot of solo XP, got them to level 6, they were able to then use that ult to re-engage and then clean up onto Turc as well. Very well played, very good collapse, and a little bit of an overstep again when they're on the back foot by Cupid to take that fight, when maybe they should have given it up and said, we can't fight this one, we're just going to get too far behind.
One of those difficulties, you know, understanding that Lokidosi and Turc, they're not as strong as we wish, but markboots was 0-0 and 0, right? Farm wasn't awful, so maybe you thought you could get a kill. However, it has been identified now. You are not allowed to fight. The bot side of the map to mid is completely Akuma Scythes. So with that identification, it will be up to Cupid Esports to try and find a way back. However, with a 7-kill lead and about a 4K advantage, Akuma Scythes, if they play the rest of this early game well, they roll into the mid game strong, their composition is perfect for taking over and not letting up, kind of stealing away this game number 1.
Absolutely, and you see an ult coming out from the Cassante trying to take Superyacht on the Gragas under turret, trying to poke him out because Gragas is one of these neutralizing top laners that can kind of withstand any lane. Now, you can see from the build that it's an AP Gragas, so not very tanky, and that might come into play later on in the game, as there's going to be 2 tanks on the side of Akuma Scythes, and that may make it a difference maker if they can't end this fast enough and they just become too tanky of a team for Akuma to handle.
Definitely 2 ways to think about it. And I love the fact that you did point out, if it takes time to skill, Cupid Esports might be able to pull it off, right? Slow down the game, give it a little bit of time. At the same time, it's a worrying trend. Because you have 2 tanks, you're not really allowed to have that strong of an early game, right? You don't have that poke factor, you don't have that bullying potential like the Ashe and the Kalista have. So keeping that one in mind, same difference here, right? Superyacht and ßirdo ensuring that they get some plate value and they extend that gold lead even further into the sky. Very well played by Akuma Scythes to just maintain their advantage. You can see it there, almost 2K in favor of the TheKeyboarder, and in the jungle we're seeing a 300 gold lead. ßirdo on those grubs should ensure at least a stack of 5 to allow the Void Mines to come into play.
Absolutely, and this is all because Zhadox feels like they have to make a play around this bot side. There's not a dragon that they can take on this side of the map because this is the second spawn, but they were setting up for this dive for so long. Lee Sin was able to get a gank topside, then roam right into grubs, and Lee Sin had already taken his bot side, blue side jungle, that there was nothing for Zhadox to take, and now he's kind of just bleeding gold and bleeding XP because there's nothing for him to do. The only thing he might be able to catch is Failz here, and the minions block that stun, so he's kind of just has to take the Gromping constellation, and I mean, that's a minute and a half, almost 2 minutes of wasted time that he hasn't been useful on the map.
It's a pain to kind of hear that, but it's truth, and Zhadox needs to take a little bit of time to get back up, as much as you hate to say that. I mean, you did die twice, right? And you're going with this Viego, you do go a little bit squishier build, so you need time to kind of ramp up. You need to have that power. You were talking about Superyacht going into that AP route. It's a little bit better. The Rod of Ages does bring some pseudo thing to it. Has the extra HP, you get the extra healing, and not only that, you went grass, so these trades are having a bit more value. But overall, he's still leaning into Akuma Scythes. Now, right now, with Dragon coming up in about a minute, do you think Akuma Scythes is actually going to be looking for this Dragon? Do you think they're looking to stack this up, or do you think they actually focus more on the lanes and trying to get those lanes in and out from the tower?
You want to speed up this game as much as possible if you're Akuma, and that means you need to get these dragons, because that just allows Cupid time to scale if you don't. And if you can get these dragons and force a fight, because getting to Soul Point and then Soul and then Elder, if you can force these fights where Cupid has to because they can't just give it up and they're at a deficit, it makes you that much stronger and you can just snowball a lead from that. So it's all dependent on where they focus. I would say let's focus dragons if I was on the team, because that's where your power can come from. They're eternally strong. It's easy to get them, especially with the strength that you have right now. It's ballooned to an almost 4K gold lead, so they have a lot of power in their wallets that they can use to take these, and it looks like that's exactly what they're going to be doing. And the side of Cupid is like, yeah, we have to give this, there's nothing we can do. So the Chemtech drag is going to be free for Akuma to take here.
Dragon is set, as he said, very simple pickup as well, and let's hope they do go ahead and keep up this pressure. For a moment, it just silent leads, right? It just feels very quiet. No one's really challenged all the way around. And right now, Zhadox might be looking for a steal if you can. You're rolling your way in, but challenge, you don't really have that opportunity. On the flip side, we're seeing a duel between a markboots and a random capitals. The Hexgate's coming out here. Markboots, you're on the wrong side of the map here, but you say let's go ahead and fight. Flash Sword only catches one though, and that's a TP in. That'll be the Gragas not having a chance to do anything but a return pop. Blossom catches 3 instead. And once again, it is Akuma Scythes to reap the benefits. Yes, their jungler or their top laner went down, but they get 2 in return. They did lose their support as well, but this chase might be all they wanted. Lokidosi rolls right into that Sonic Wave. It won't be a death, but it's a summoner spell for sure.
Absolutely, and it was very well played by both squads. Zhadox had to make something happen since they were there. They were never going to be able to get that. You have Callista and you have Smite. The Ren Smite combo is just too strong. And so with that, they needed to force something. They brought in the TP. And it looks like we have an Ash Arrow coming down. Is it going to make a landing? And it does. Wow. Great snipe there. Are they going to be able to get the kill off this? I think they are. Yeah. So great pickup there for the Keyboarder to get that Silas and set them even farther behind. And you mentioned it in the fight. They got a flash forward, only catching the one on Gragas. And yeah, they were able to blow him up. But you missed out on those key targets in the Ashe and the Lee Sin that really are able to take that fight and swing it in their favor. So it was a good fight because they got 2 in the Lee Sin and the Gragas, but that's really it. And it's still just ballooning even more out. It's an almost 4.5k gold lead, just keeps going and going and going. With Rift Herald on the board, I hate to see what's going to happen with this next fight, if they're going to be able to actually contest it well or not.
I mean, at this point, it feels like they shouldn't be able to, right? If they are able to actually contest, it's a whole different story. It might almost be like Akuma just kind of giving them that chance. So something we really do have to watch for. Herald is also available. There's some interesting marks here, though. Take a look. Lokidosi and Turc now in the mid lane. A little bit of a role swap and a little bit of a change up here. Trying to break away and give Lokidosi this Ferret that is currently the main powerhouse. Was able to grab 2 kills earlier on, the only 2 kills for the team. You do want them to have the most farm. You do want them to get a little bit stronger. So that's why they're rotating in. Now looking at this Herald, a little bit dicey. He didn't clear out the wards. Because of that, it looks like it actually might be handed over. No one on the side of Akuma Scythes really holds it down.
Yeah, they're deciding actually to focus more on getting the bot side turret instead. The Ash Arrow flying mid, trying to stop any chance of the steal from Silas, but looks like he's going to get taken out in the bot lane instead. That is not what you want to see happening. Definitely, if you have these cross-map plays happening, you have to see the pressure if you're not going to be there, and that's exactly what happened. Is he didn't see pressure, and he now gave up a kill along with the 2 turrets for this Rift Herald, but they're going to drive into the mid lane turret. But I don't think they'll be able to take the turret, so it's really going to be kind of a question mark on this play.
It's not even that, it's just you get the kill and you give yourself up. That is one of the hazards of using that Herald as a drive, and now you just put yourself into a rough spot. At this point, things are looking worse and worse for the side of Cupid Esports. This is Lokidosi, gonna be hunted down here. Easy kick to reposition, a Sonic Wave after, and it's just the finish. ßirdo turning into an Eagle at 1-0-10.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great fight by them. They knew that it was being driven, and the Nico catching the Viego out, forcing him under turret to be able to be stuck there with the E. And grabbing that early kill just allowed them to snowball that with the Ashe roaming up to get those slows. Allows them to now take the mid turret as well. So this play that was looking halfway decent for Cupid, they just overforced in the mid lane and instead gave up another turret. So now they're three turrets and a kill in favor of Akuma on that play for just the Rift Herald take.
And quite honestly, that Herald play was already a desperation play, right? It was already identified that you're not getting that much out of it. At best, you get half chunked. You're not getting any plates. You're just hoping for a chance to have it. But it's literally throw everything at the wall, see what sticks, and maybe get something out of it. Right now, with Dragon coming up here, it's going to be a whole different story. A double root now, slowing down the advances of Cupid Esports. This Dragon is really not in their favor, and it's one again of desperation, right? Hextech Dragon, you do not want to hand over at any cost, but I don't think you really have a choice. So for Cupid Esports, it's a chance. Are you going to look at it? For Akuma Scythes, though, it's more, you got to realize you're strong. You got to realize you're in control here, and that should be more than enough to shove off the rest of Cupid and secure yourself soul points.
And you can see that's exactly what they're doing right now. Superyacht playing that frontline tank on the Gragas, making sure that they can't step up with a fear of getting body slammed and barreled backwards. So it's definitely a dangerous moment for the side of Cupid Esports as this Dragon is getting started up.
It's going to be a little bit dangerous. Take eyes on where the battle lines are drawn. markboots trying to zone around the other side, but the arrow is actually used. That's crystal arrow that is actually very important to hang on to. That's a great way to slow down these fights and to actually pick off an opponent. Now Dragon is in the middle. The Capital's trying to throw out a little bit of a clone that's not really going to work. The Gooose trying to do their best, but they draw in a tank, and now that comes out the cast, and it's not really going to work. Smite goes down, and it's taken by the side of Cupid Esports. Now they got to run away. How many are they going to lose? They lose a second behind. The jump forward, the flash from Superyacht brings them to a super fight. Turc is running for their life. There's no tower to save them. So it's 4 deaths for a Dragon. Really not worth, but Cupid Esports, they at least stalled out that Dragon's soul.
Yeah, absolutely. And how you have to look at this as Cupid is we stalled the game for another 5 minutes potentially, because the longer you can push out the Elder Dragon, I can think for a second, the Elder Dragon fight, the more likely you are to be in a better position for it. So yes, you lost 4, but that's all you lost, right? You didn't lose any extra turrets. You didn't really lose a lot of extra gold standing on the map because they didn't get top turret, they didn't get mid turret. They already had the tier 2 and tier 1 in bot. So you lost some farm and you gave over some kill gold. And you gave over pressure around this Baron, but you really never had pressure on this Baron, even though it just spawned. You don't have pressure on the map in general with just how far behind you are. So to give up those 4, you've got the Dragon, and that's really the goal of that. And because they couldn't get anything else, it really is a win for Cupid Esports in the long run of things to allow them to get their tanks to scale even farther.
I mean, they're going to try their best, but right now the scaling might not be in their favor. Failz as well. The support, the Ashe support only goes down after heavy investment, and now you might lose a few more. That's going to be the cast to blow everyone back. But look at the scatter. It's right into the Pop Blossom. However, the Pop Blossom went a bit too far. Nico now getting chunked down. It looks like the skirmish coming out of Cupid Esports might have made a comeback. As you said, a little bit of a difference here, and the scattering, the battering of this fight causes the rest of Akuma Scythes to fall.
And here you have it, right? This is the power of having that tank in the front line that they just couldn't take out. They threw everything on that Ashe, got them, and then the rest of Akuma just went in one by one, never really had a coordinated front, and that allows Cupid to now take this Baron as their prize. Mother Goose just playing Gatekeeper, saying, no, you're not going to be allowed into here, Birdo, but it looks like he's going to... Oh, unfortunate. Gets right back out. Are they?
Yeah, this Baron is not exactly, I think, a solid one. They're taking quite low, and yeah, it's actually giving time for everyone else to come back up. So if Birdo's able to find it, oh, missed the Sonic Wave. They missed the Sonic Wave. Now they got to go in. There's no Smite available. Who gets it? It is going to be claimed by the Nautilus. Turc was able to pick it up. I didn't think that Sonic Wave landed, but they were able to connect it. Now Failz walking in is going to die as well. Fate's Call being drawn in, but that's a flash forward. His TheKeyboarder says, yo, you might have got the Baron, but no one's going to have the buff. They are going to slaughter as many as they can as the spears rend the lives. Turc now running for their lives. It is a negative Baron power play of at least 2k as it's an ace for Akuma Scythes.
Absolutely, and that's the power of tempo, right? They died, but they were able to respawn, get there fast enough because they took out at least a few of the key members to make sure that they could get into that Baron pit and get the kill. It looked a little bit dicey for a second in the fight ensuing with Failz getting caught out, but they were able to make the play happen anyways. It looks like, ooh, random capitals does get taken out by the turret, getting stunned up there by markboots, but they were able to pick up markboots again. So a 1-for-1 trade there. A little bit of an overforce in the mid, but they did get the tier 2 at least.
I mean, that's always done, right? I mean,
yeah.
I think you're going to lose a few more, and this is starting to get a little bit messy from the side of Akuma Scythes, but it's not the worst thing in the world, right?
No.
You're holding your own, you're being pretty steady, and again, you took the Baron off the main goal here. Just keep the pressure up. Not only that, look at the next dragon. As we said, though, things are starting to look a little bit spicy. The fights are looking a lot sloppier from Akuma Scythes, and Cupid Esports are starting to take advantage of that. So I think this next dragon that we're going to watch is going to be very, very interesting to see if Akuma Scythes fall again in a mid-game teamfight scenario. I'm actually very worried for how this game's going to turn out.
Absolutely. And this dragon spawning in 45 seconds is really going to be the key in whether or not Akuma can end the game or Cupids can push out the game farther. This is going to be one of these key ending moments, because if the fight goes in favor of Akuma, they can take an inhib pretty easily off of it. So they Cupid has to make a decision. Do we stalled it once? Do we let them get soul point, or do we try and go in again and hope for another miracle play?
I mean, Zhadox may or may not be willing to admit that they might have just been that miracle play, except in the other direction, right? That was a 4-stack on top in the river brush. It's so dangerous to be in. Turc, wander off their way, and I mean, this split is actually really, really dangerous. The keyboard is actually taken quite low. Another 15 yards in the land, but the Mob Blossom is used, but it's so far away. Take a look at where the rest of the team was. What was going on there? The coordination call was not together, and Akuma Scythes on 2 different pages lose their mid laner. Dragon now going to be drawn into Cupid Esports' favor. Akuma Scythes, they have the lead in, they can find the angle, but it's taken down very, very quickly. That's going to be a nice route. Chain of Corruption comes out, going to gather up some more kills, and Birdo was next on the chopping block. You can't run from a depth chart. You are just dead. Akuma Scythes from a 6k deficit and a disastrous pair in power play is now only 3k away from evening the gold.
I mean, that's exactly what you didn't want to happen as Akuma. They went in, again, 1 by 1. Their mid laner got caught out, which is one of their key points of engage, and a lot of their damage that they just don't have anymore. So whenever that Pop Blossom goes off and there's no one around, there's no follow-up damage, right? So what happens is they lose that mid laner. Now they're stuck in a 5v4, and they try to go in again instead of just saying, look, we have another time. We can cut our losses on this one and try again next time when we have the strength to do so. Instead, they tried to force, and they overforced their hand once again and lost out heavily, losing Dragon and another 2 members.
Pain is all I can say. This is... I never expected this situation to occur, right? Like, I never sat here and thought this would be a situation that would happen, but we are seeing some of those cracks, so how is it going to break down right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
I wonder exactly how they're going to come back for this. They have to be feeling the pressure, right? Akuma Scythes have got to be feeling the pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a lot of pressure, and it looks like they're going to try to get onto markboots here, putting all 5 members into him. This is the play. I mean, this is an excellent play to catch out one of the strongest members on the other side of the map. But what do they get out of this besides just the kill? You have Cassante pushing in the bot side. You have Varus in the mid lane. You have to get something other than this kill, or else it's a trade in favor of Cupid Esports once again.
So many little pieces that could be talked about, but... SSirdo actually getting aggressive now is good, but that's going to be an arrow. Lokidosi burning both cleanse and flash to stay at safety range. But that's going to be a nice stun. SSirdo trying to go for the inside, but instead will pay the price. A quick death puts Zhadox in a really good position to actually grab that soul. The Heartbreaker is going to bring out a little more TP coming in here. Look at the slaughter though. Lokidosi picking up that kill from behind. It's an easy one to have here, but they lose their life in regard. Mother Goose coming back from spawn and realizing they're in a little bit of a tough spot. They're going to try and hightail it back to safety here. TP coming in for the Silas. and Failz running for their life. I mean, their support Ash can only do so much. That's gonna be a grab arrow from downtown. Hijack and now brought the kill. Barrier goes up from Failz.
No.
Are you actually gonna get safety? No way. There's the kill. Messy angles all around as people are scrapping for every little bit of gold.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a very scrappy fight that turned very much in favor of Akuma there. They just had that little bit of extra gold and a little bit more on the damage there. There wasn't the tanky members of Mother Goose to actually tank up a lot. Turc just isn't quite there yet. Only has the locket and the support item to make a big difference there. So the tanky member of Mother Goose that can kidnap one of those members and still be a huge tank, not being in that fight, you can see what happens when you have this overwhelming damage. But ßirdo also going too far, trying to get that insect and getting picked off immediately, shows just how weak this composition can be too. The pressure really is starting to turn onto Akuma to end this game, because if you get a full 5v5 right now, it very much can easily go in favor of Cupid. This late in the game, you know, a lot of people are approaching 2, 3, 4 items, and the gold difference matters less and less and less.
All those little pieces are coming together here as this is... We're seeing it, right? Cupid Esports, they weather the storm, but Zhadox, for the first time, having to ult out defensively. Try and put themselves in a good spot.
Yeah,
looks like
good.
so far Akuma Scythes have actually kept themselves safe for the time being, but look at where the waves are. Crashing in now. 5th Dragon going to be on the board, and that's going to be the big calling card, right? How is this going to kind of break out?
Absolutely. I mean, you can see that both teams are trying to do their due diligence in setting up for these objective plays. Cupid going and placing down that vision, getting the minion waves pushed is the appropriate way to go and do this. As you can see, the dragon side of the map being lit up with blue wards in key parts, as it looks like Superyacht might be caught out here.
Yeah, and I mean, you are not as thinking as you think, drawn away, thanks to Sante, but now the three-pronged fight is abound, but again, how much damage do you actually have? There is that Lokidosi is still alive. Not only that, Zhadox with that pop blossom said, hey, this is mine, the Heartbreaker is stealing souls. Lokidosi in the back does all the damage that you need, and Zhadox is free to free fire with this Callista. Gonna go ahead and rend their way. Superyacht trying to get out to safety, but in this 2v2 situation, top versus jungle, it's in the favor of Cupid Esports, and guess what? Dragon is alive.
Dragon is alive, but I don't know if Cupid has the health bards to contend with it. Gragas does have TP in just a few seconds, and the health bar is better on ßirdo. It looks like he might get caught out here, though, having to dash away. The TP coming in from Superyacht. It looks like tempo-wise, it might be in favor of Akuma Esports right now.
I mean, they got the HP, they're doing okay here. Mother Goose doesn't really have amazing sustain here. You can see the item certain situations. I mean, your tank is not really healing up. Right now, it's just a wait. How many other people can kind of get in here, get ready for the fight? You look there, TheKeyboarder trying to clone out the different items, clone out different angles. From the arrow, and it lands on one of the tankiest members here, but it is just a clean kill. One of the tanks is gone. Turc is dead, which should signal the retreat from the rest of the team.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a TP from markboots on the other side of the fight as well, trying to get that flanking Silas off, and the pickoff of Turc just made it so that was going to be all for naught, unfortunately. Tempo favoring Akuma Scythes heavily now. They have all 5 members, they have soul point on the dragon, and they're moving over to Baron.
Just Baron. I mean, everyone's up, alright, except for Turc, but HP is available. And Zhadox going right over top. He's trying to get a glance on how far away Baron is, and that's going to be a steal! He gets to steal Zhadox with a nasty one. Yes, you'll pay your life, but you've done the job that junglers are supposed to. The steal goes the way of Cupid Esports for Baron.
And I think that saves the game right there. If Akuma gets Baron there, it's very easy for them to end the game. As arrow comes out onto markboots, he's going to get caught out here, it looks like. Flashing over the wall to avoid the cast from Superyacht. Is he going to be able to get away from ßirdo, though, is the question.
I'm not sure. Markboots gets booted.
It looks like they are. He's gonna get away stealing the Lee Sin ult, so definitely a crazy swing of plays from one side to the other.
This game ice is getting a little bit out there, right? Like I don't know where it's gonna go from here, and I'm just sitting here going, okay, the number of moments that Cupid have kind of fought back from, right? With the gold only down 1,000, that's crazy numbers to think about, right? Everyone on all sides has really come back very well. markboots, 1,000 over their lane opponent. In the jungle, 3K for Zhadox. In the top lane, pretty much even in the ADC role, only 1,000 going to the TheKeyboarder. These little differences are causing so many changes. I mean, Failz, of course, not really a support, almost matching in the gold Requiem.
Absolutely.
It's going to be interesting. This is out of control.
Absolutely. I mean, and this is what exactly Akuma didn't want, is to get a scrappy game like this late into it. They wanted to end a lot sooner, and they just couldn't get enough of a lead to be able to throw their wallets at them and win any fight that they took. So now it's a very back and forth match where they're trying to pick off 1 or 2 members to then take the rest of the fight, because they can't take a 5v5 with the tankiness of the side of Cupid Esports. So now what you're looking at is we have Soul coming up in 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Baron is on the side of Cupid because they got an excellent steal. Zhadox doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. And it went from like a 6k gold lead at one point to now there's barely 1,000 gold between the two.
And I mean, you can almost see their faces. Everyone is realizing that things are a little bit dangerous. That's an arrow out, though. I was wondering if they were going to go straight for that next objective, but it looks like they just want to fight. TP coming in here. Someone's got to help. Superyacht, and they do. Pop Blossom only catches the tank, though. So this fight is already messy, but now they go in. markboots says, I want to kill. Zhadox gets one assassination. Can they look for another? No one else is willing to step up here. Superyacht, that TP, put your team in a dangerous scenario. We can see the skills coming out here, but the actual execution is a messy. Cupid Esports are rallying, are gruelingly slogging their way back into this game 1.
Absolutely, and I mean, that was the 5v5 that I was talking about. You can see just how tanky the side of Cupid Esports has become, where this Pop Blossom isn't doing half the health bars anymore. It's doing maybe a quarter at that, and they're only catching 1, maybe 2 members every fight, so it's a lot harder for them to push in. And Failz getting caught out there by the Sylas. Yeah, they use the TheKeyboarder's ult, the Kalista ult, to pull away, but having that ult down, now you can't re-engage. It was an excellent arrow to try to catch someone out on the side of Failz, but it was just not enough. They're just falling a little bit behind in terms of the damage to really cut through these tanks.
Starting to get stronger. They just feel bigger. You can see it there. Mother Goose stepping up to the front lines. About what is that? Am I counting right? That's like 4K? I want to say that's 4K.
About 4.5k health there, and Turc is becoming tanky as well. Yeah, Turc's putting on the knife out.
It's not great, but it's there, right? It's enough. But I mean, look at this. They're now invading into the rest of the jungle here, and Birdo is actually in a dangerous spot. This dragon is oh so important, right? It's heavily fought after, and the Baron's not going to be up, so it could be the big turning point. Zhadox currently in the shadows, trying to run interference here. Barrel's going to go out.
Sylas has the cask as well. This could be huge here. If he gets the cask onto the right person, this could end the game.
Yeah, it's just so many little jostling pieces, but it seems to the sides are willing to get this up and fight another time.
And that other time might be right now. Looks like they're trying to press in just a little bit. No ult being thrown yet, but Zhadox going really far, catching out Birdo here.
Yeah, that's actually the catch I was looking at, and that's going to be the Pop Blossom, only catching 1 on the back end. Birdo's still down, and TheKeyboarder gets killed. That is disgusting, and that is problematic. Superyacht goes again into the Zanyas, but it does nothing but delay the inevitable. Down you go, 3 in a row. Zhadox showing in the back line. Failz is now going to fall. You turn into a fail clip yourself. 5 are alive on Cupid Esports. What a disgusting display here. Cupid Esports are able to fight their way back, and for the first time in this game, they have a lead on Dragons, or they're even in Dragons, they're even in Towers. They have a lead in Gold, and they're looking to close out this game.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the decisiveness that you have to have with a composition like this. You don't want it to go on too long, but losing out on those fights from Akuma, you had to win early. And yeah, they got on like the second dragon, they got the 4 kills, but they lost the dragon. This is exactly, or it was the third dragon, and that's exactly, they were like, we're fine losing it because we were able to stall out the game. And this is what happens when you can stall out a game like this, is they were able to take the W just because they were able to stall out the game long enough and allow their tanks to scale just that much that they needed, where they couldn't actually end the game on the side of Akuma.
Yeah, it's a problem to watch for, right? Akuma Scythes, they had everything. Quite literally, if you have a 6K lead, you should be winning. Like I hate saying that, but it's a 6K lead. If it were a 2 or 3K, I'd understand. It's 2 or 3K, it can still be manageable, you can still stall out. Couple bad team fights, unfortunate TPs, Akuma Scythes, you played well, taking care of advantages, but you gave it up. The team fights need to be more coordinated, the calls need to be cleaner, and you need to take advantage of that lead. For right now, though, Cupid Esports also need to show up the early game. Let's see if they can do that. We'll go ahead, go to a quick break, and then we'll be right back for game number 2. Don't go anywhere. All right, and here we go once again for game number 2. It's going to be an exciting one, I'm sure. Game number 1, very interesting to watch. Akuma Scythes came out to a pretty strong lead, but that 6K deficit was absolutely overturned by the side of Cupid Esports. Well fought, well played. Game number 2, a lot of things need to change here as we go ahead and hop straight into draft. Akuma Scythes have opted to go into that blue side once again, and actually not once again, they were on red side before, so we'll see if blue side actually has a little bit of a better handle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you do side flips like this, it really does potentially change your picks and your bans, right? Power picks now are open for blue side that they aren't on red side, so it'll be interesting to see, do they pick up this smolder or not that Cupid Esports banned away in game 1, or do they elect to ban it away for themselves? As we see Senna, Nocturne, and TF and Varus look like being the potential ban as well. Flying through these so far, uh, a lot of power picks from the last game taken off, as it looks like Akuma's saying, no, we do not want to play the Smolder here. Very big question marks now for the team, because this is such a power pick and you have B1, and it has been shown that Smolder is B1 worthy. There's very few picks that you can play into it, one of them being the Senna. So banning Senna on red side and then not picking it up on blue side really throws a lot of question marks to the bot side of the map and even mid lane as to why they don't want to pick it up.
Yeah, it gives a little bit too much favoritism almost to Cupid, right? Like they just have so much available to them. The Ashe is going to be hovered once again. Akuma was able to flex this pretty well. They said, hey, let's go ahead and use that as a little bit of a piece of the puzzle. We don't show too much. We can run it in the ADC or in the support. However, the one that they did decide to choose, if that is actually locked in, is going to be Cupid saying you don't get one half of the puzzle that you were hoping to work with. The Callista last time did hold a lot of power. The Ren was very strong. It was able to get out of a lot of sticky situations. Of course, following up behind Cupid Esports, they had a good top lane pickup here, and I was wondering the Cassante, another decent, I would say, blindable top lane that you could work with.
Yeah, absolutely. That Cassante, yeah, it gave over that early death to the side of Akuma when they were going for those grubs. But overall, into that late game, when they really became that tanky Cassante that everybody knows, took over a lot of those fights and allowed them to move ahead and deal a lot of just like standing there and kidnapping key targets. As it's followed up by the Renekton and Talia. I like this combo from the side of Akuma. They played early last game. They didn't quite have it with the Gragas and Lee Sin, so they're indexing a little bit more into the damage side of things, going for the Renekton and the Talia. Talia does have a lot more movement across the map with the Weaver's Wall, and Renekton does deal a lot more damage than that Gragas does. So it'll be interesting to see how they pilot those going in between those early to mid and mid to late, where those key moments they failed in last time.
Big little question marks here, as that's going to be a hover of the Vi, and it is actually going to be banned away, so surprisingly targeting that jungle route, which I do appreciate this time around. I mean, it's understandable. Not only that, the Draven afterwards, so heavily focusing that ADC role, again, trying to take away good, strong, lane-dominant champions. The Ezreal, maybe not so much, but paired with the Ashe can be very poke-heavy. The Sylas now being hovered here, this will be really impressive. It's banned away. That would be giving a lot of respect over to markboots, who again in the early game struggled a little bit, but in game in the mid to late. Very powerful.
Absolutely, and it looks like they're going to be taking the Viego once again, saying, yeah, it wasn't the strongest in the early game, but they were able to maneuver that over the walls and get actually very key steals onto that Baron later on into the game. Yes, they had to give up their life for it, but delaying that game long enough again for them to then come over and win. So happy to pilot the Viego again, and I'm not too concerned about that. They played it very well. Now on the other side, they're going to actually put the Ashe into the ADC this time and pick up Renata as the support. Typically, you see Renata paired with the
Ooh.
Kalista. They're not wanting to give them that power. And Jax, that is an interesting pick once that we see there now.
This feels like it's a Jax jungle. And I actually really like this, right? As we're going to go ahead, as the champion's already locked in, we're going to hop straight over to game. I think the Jax in the jungle is able to duel out, which is what you need once again inside of the jungle route. One of the things that we saw Zhadox do very well is mid to late game, very strong control and decisiveness, and how to take control of the bus, how they want to route these fights. Zhadox had really nice entry points. Now you have that counter strike. Now you have that ability on ßirdo to kind of flip your way through. You have the counter strike. You have that Grandmaster's Might. You have dueling threat that won't wane into the mid to late game. If you get stacked, you get the items. This Jax is gonna hit like a beast.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, it's in the jungle, right? But it still has a lot of split pushing potential, even coming from the jungle, if there's no major objectives on the map for them to have to be around. So you have to keep that in mind as well, as you have to match this Jax because they will become a very big powerhouse no matter where they are on the map. On the other side, that Lux pickup is gonna potentially neutralize a lot of the siege potential that this comp from Akuma might have if they're looking to maybe slow push down a turret. Lux has a lot of great safe wave clear, and then with the ultimate having a lot of long range damage could keep them very safe for mark boots so that they don't get taken out early on in this game like they did last time on the Silas.
I mean, the Lux shouldn't be dying as often, right? Like, we're talking about long range. We're looking at the snipes. We're looking at just stay safe. So if Mark Boots randomly dies in a 1v1 inside an enemy jungle in melee range, I would be throwing a lot of question marks their way. This is another lane nullification situation. Just play smart, play safe, don't die. It does take a lot of agency and a lot of the scariness, I would say, from that mid to late game, though. You're not worried about that hijacked ult. You're not worried about that crystal arrow getting that taken away from you. So, you know, in terms of damage output, Lux can still bring a lot to the table. In terms of team fight prowess, all you're really worried about is that singularity and that binding. So, you know, maybe a trade that Akuma are going to enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. Now it is an interesting pickup here with the Renata. The Cupid comp wants to go in, right? They have the Kalista, they have the Nautilus, Viego wants to go in, and so does Cassante. They want to be in the middle of that fight. Kalista's very short-range ADC and throwing in that Nautilus. So that Renata's going to have to put in a lot of work with that ultimate to make sure that she can keep her team safe with that counter engage and making, of course, Cupid fight themselves with it. So I'm definitely excited to see how they utilize that ultimate to make sure that they can win out on these fights, especially in these early games, because now they're the team that doesn't have the tanky stats like they did last game.
Yeah, not as tanky as maybe they had prior to, but still a lot of the threat, right? Still a lot of that go forward action, and I mean, at the current moment, it's pretty dang safe, right? Full clears by both the junglers, nothing too crazy, gonna meet in the bot side. Zhadox last time was able to win out that jungle route first, was able to get in, duel out ßirdo, and then look for that early scuttle. So maybe they see it happen again. Of course, that'll be the hawk shot to identify exactly where everyone's going. ßirdo, he is gonna lane straight in the river, and it's gonna be a full out duke. ßirdo actually going to give it up, not wanting to have that problem occur.
And it looks like we're going to have Turc coming in and engage onto TheKeyboarder here.
Yeah, this is going to be dangerous. Counter-Strike comes out here, but Turc is going to get free fire down. TheKeyboarder going to be rented. Does Lokidosi go down? Yes, you do, and you say TheKeyboarder. This is a massive boon for the bot side. Once again, of Akuma Scythes, they come out with, again, 3 kills in the bottom lane. A massive start once again for Akuma.
Yeah, I mean, you can't write this script any better for them. Once again, ßirdo, knowing that he had a slower clear, decides to skip his Krugs and set up in that pixel brush to maybe make a potential play onto the scuttle crab. And whenever Turc goes in, he's not a tanky Nautilus right now, so it was very easy for them to just turn onto him. That W from Failz on the Renata, keeping Ashe alive and making sure that she can put out that damage and get that reset so she doesn't die, was massive in that fight.
And this is, like I said, that script still laid out there. Akuma get the opening starts that they would want. Not only that, they get 2 kills on the ßirdo specifically. Remember last time where the kills went, right? It went to Failz on that Ashe. Not the worst one to have it. Not great though, right? This time around, ßirdo gets 2. You can now ramp up ever harder, and I always like it whatever it is on the jungle, right? You get to rotate that gold out. You get to bring that gold into other lanes. You get to influence the game a lot earlier on. You're gonna see that happen again as Zhadox. Well, you can't really stay here, right? You're just not allowed to mark boots in the mid lane, even being forced away, as Random Capitals is there along with Failz to ensure that these grubs, not only just one, but all 3 are going to go the way of the side of Akuma.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think question marks have to be put into that mid lane on this right here, because markboots hadn't backed yet. They didn't have any mana to actually contest for these grubs. When you know they're coming up, you have to plan ahead of that in advance, especially as a Lux who's very mana dependent. So when Taliyah got her back off, should have been an immediate shove. And then, ooh, great predict hook there by Turc to get the kill onto the Random Capitals on the Taliyah. Great play there to get pressure around this dragon. But again, back to that other play, markboots has to know that these grubs are coming up, and if we're going to be able to be wanting to look to contest them, I have to make sure I have mana and health to do so. And because they didn't plan ahead, they lost out on those early grubs, even though they had tempo rotation to them.
These are just these small little intricacies that are shaking things up here in this game. Little bits and pieces that we get to watch for. And Failz heavily roaming out once again. You got that early win, and with Dragon up now, this Ocean Dragon is one of the best to pick up very early on, right? You get the early thing, you get that ability to kind of stay in lane for a little bit longer, and that'll be really, really appropriate to watch for Failz, trying to bait in Zhadox a little bit. ßirdo playing off on the range. So you don't want to give up too much. This Dragon, though, I mean, ßirdo gets started up, get a little bit of pressure, and maybe get a little bit more out of it. Now, though, Zhadox realizing things are a little bit messy. They did get the hook. ßirdo is going to get the counter-strike down. Zhadox doesn't really have anything in the bucket. Ignite goes down by Turc. But remember, TheKeyboarder is going to be quite strong. Weaver's wall could come up, and yes, there it is. A little bit short range, but it comes off one angle, but it's still a 4v. Laser from across town is going to work, but you still get that revive opportunity. Failz will stay alive. No counter-strike to land. Lokidosi under the tower will stay alive, but Final Burst from the Singularity will claim their life in return. markboots running for their life as well. Flashes of the wall away from the sides of the shove, and it's still a 1-for-2 value. Akuma still coming out on top.
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, that is a huge, again, win for the side of Akuma in this early game with this early game comp. Getting kills onto the people that they need them to, right? Jax is sitting at 3-1-2. Ashe at 2-0-3. That huge revive coming through so that Renata doesn't fall to the side of Lokidosi, and Turc really makes it so that they actually got that second kill, because they then had to overforce onto it. As it looks like Random Capitals is going to be forced upon here. Are they going to continue on to this?
I mean, as long as they fight hard, they should come out in some value. That laser again streaking across Akuma's HP bars. Random Capitals, I mean, this is the other side of it, right? You picked up Taliyah to try and deny any sort of engaged move. You're starting to realize things are vastly different than you want, and this is also the other side of it. Mother Gooose coming in with a little bit of a punch. Ult came out, wasn't able to find too much dominance spot by Superyacht to stay alive. The invade, though, again, this is Cupid Esports. They said, yo, we're losing on the bot side. Let's try and get pressure somewhere else. And they're doing so, but bot side still taking a heavy, heavy hit.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Turc isn't in the bot side, Lokidosi on the Kalista has to just give everything because there's so much dive potential from Ashe and Renata. Because Renata can easily start it off with the ultimate or with the handshake, and with the W timed just right, can actually get the revive on Ashe where they won't die if they take turret aggro. So Kalista really losing out on a lot, and you can see that reflected in the CS scoreline now at 84 to 52, an almost 30 CS lead once Kalista picks up these last few minions that they have access to. Really starting to put the pressure down on this bot side. But key note here, Dragon has still not yet been taken, and second round of Grubbies are up.
And that was something that I think the side of Cupid Esports were able to force pretty heavily. The fact that it hasn't been taken still gives them a lot of breathing room. Akuma were not able to really accelerate this pace of the game, so instead they are looking just towards that farm angle to keep everyone healthy, keep everyone smart, look for the early kills, and then we look at the objectives. Zhadox going ahead, taking another blue buff for themselves. This could get a little bit dicey. Keep eyes on those TPs as well. No one on the side of the top laners is going to have it. Mid lane, Random Capitals has it to join the fight, but the Weaver's Wall is going to be more than enough. ßirdo able to grab that scuttle. Should be more than enough to deter a heavy investment on this dragon. I say that as Zhadox goes ahead and pokes the sleeping bear, it really shouldn't go further.
No, and some key, looking down at the scoreboard right now, some key items coming through for Lux. Getting that Luden's Companion very early on gives her almost permanent wave push in the mid lane, so Random Capitals is almost always going to be second move to any objective there, as it looks like we may not even get a contest coming from the side of Akuma onto this dragon.
Now this is quite surprising, right? Akuma Scythes being willing to give over a lot of value. Yes, he rotated down Mother Goose. I still think they could have had the chance to try and kill someone, right? If you go ahead and try and catch Turc off on the edge or Lokidosi or anything like that, there could be that angle, and actually they did give it a shot. You can see Turc getting taken quite low. Fate's Call had to be used, but Zhadox getting chipped by that 5-point volley. It's actually going to be dangerous here. In goes a hostile takeover. Do they actually catch one? They caught Zhadox, who was drawn a little bit more into the fight, but it's too far into the river, into enemy territory. Weaver's Wall, though, is going to find one. markboots stunned up and caught. That's the kill that you were looking for. Might not have been the initial 3, but by golly, is it the last one.
Absolutely, and it was a great roam there by Random Capitals, following up on the roam from markboots, catching them out in the river with that Reaver's Wall, and just pincering them off so they couldn't do anything, as it looks like Zhadox is going to try to salvage this play, but a great handshake to push him away. I mean, you were talking about, is that really worth on the side of Akuma to give up that dragon? And I think it might actually be, only because if you look at the power of Superyacht right now on this Renekton, he is so far ahead, already sitting on that Eclipse, got 3 plates on the top side while they were gone, and they have tempo advantage because they didn't go for it. They didn't lose any really big health bars to now grab these this second round of Grubbies. So they're going to be sitting on 6 of them, unless Birdo decides only to take the 5 and walk away. It looks like that's what he's going to do. So you're going to have Grubby spawn, and on this Renekton, he's going to be a lot more powerful right now than this Cassante, and really going to start to push him in. So it's really, they're winning on the side lanes. In bot lane, you can see the power because they roamed Turc up early, and then because they brought Mother Goose down, that they've pushed those Turcs so low that there's very little contest in those lanes because of how far ahead those lanes are for Akuma.
Akuma just being more content with the current situation. Zhadox goes ahead and grabs one, realizes that it's not really anything more than just, hey, you're late to the party. Sorry about that. Feels a little bit bad, but now the heavy collapse coming in here. Superyacht getting knocked back, a little bit of a challenge. You can see it. Superyacht knows something's up. And with that deep ward inside of that river, you know things can go a little bit south if you let it.
And he doesn't have ultimate.
Yeah, they are
from that
now
last fight,
proxying
so
the wave. I mean, Superyacht has enough clear potential though, right? Like, you should be okay. Now the dive isn't going to be easy. However, we're going to try and make it work. No dominance really to be had. That's going to be a laser from across town, and it's just an easy pickup. I lied. They make it look smart and simple. Of course, first tower will still go down on the bot side to Akuma Scythes. And honestly, all Cupid get out of that is a kill.
Yeah. And Cupid got a kill, but solo plate and tower gold for that first tower, going over to Ashe because there was nobody else there, really makes it so she got a lot of gold into her pockets from that, and it looks like they're going to get a second turret out of it as well because markboots cannot clear the way fast enough. So really 2 towers for a kill, and maybe the Herald, they will definitely get the Herald here, so 2 towers and for a kill and a Herald. I think that favors Akuma, who want the map pressure right now.
These just little pieces are falling in the way of Akuma, and again, their early game has been a fantastic start, right? Every time we've seen them, it feels like the early game goes their entire way. Here's the problem. Once it hits minute 16 or 17, that's where I'm going to start questioning things, right? That's where I'm going to start sitting there going, are they actually playing well? Are they actually following the right paths? Are they starting to push their advantage? That's where I'm really going to be curious, watching them play. For a moment, though, like we said, it's still over.
Yeah, and it looks like Viego might be getting caught out here by the Reaver's wall. Gets taken very low and has to burn the flash as well. So keep an eye on that because in just 50 seconds, the next dragon is spawning, and Viego without a flash is a very, very squishy champion because he has his ultimate, but he won't be able to get out. It looks like he might just be dead here. Very good collapse there by Birdo, knowing where he was going to be to make a play there. It looks like markboots as well may get caught out here. Not a good look for the side of Cupid, as Birdo is starting to scale very well in this game.
Like we said, the 2 early kills are starting to be given so much room. Even though you fall, you got 2 and you granted a 3rd. This is Akuma Scythes getting better and better advantages. Mid lane tower of theirs will fall, but placing it to a 2-1 tower situation, I still think they'll take that all day. Not just that, Dragon will be coming up, and you can fight for that one as well. Your jungler may not be up, but man, do you have that power behind to give yourselves that second dragon.
Absolutely, and I have to say the TP from Mother Goose was very questionable. TPing into a fed Jax whenever you don't really have a team around you as a Cassante, you don't do enough damage to someone like Jax to make a big difference, even trying to save a Lux. The Lux is just too immobile for the jumpiness of Jax to make a big difference, and gave up another kill when it was kind of unnecessary and could instead be pushing this top tower.
Shoulda, woulda, couldas. At this point, Cupid are just quite literally saying, should we do anything? Right? That's what they're kind of trying to see. They were able to get vision down. You can go ahead and see that they will have an idea of where the dragon goes, but that shove, this is the part, another laser comes out. Superyacht is just super shy of death. You don't really have the dominance available for this question. Birdo enters the back line, though. This time around, you are chunked out, and that's a problem to be had. I don't think that's where you want to be. Failz having to jump away, and now Zhadox tries to go in with the counter-strike of their own. They're able to lock up 2, but they only get 1 kill. Superyacht with the dominance available is now going to cut through all of them. Weaver's Wall going to cut off markboots. The rest of the members, Mother Goose and Lokidosi, running for their lives. A final slide springs it home as Superyacht gets a double kill.
Yeah, great play by Superyacht. Almost gets caught out, but you can see just the sheer amount of healing that can come through this Renekton. Already having that Eclipse, doesn't even have boots yet, but with that hammer, just, man, did a lot of damage there and really took over that fight for them and really turned it back from a cusp of a disaster for Akuma.
That was one of those moments that I will say, the only reason Akuma Scythes came out with that lead, I wouldn't even call it a lead, that it came out with the fight going even, is because they were ahead, right? Any other fight that goes down, I don't think they come out of that as easily as they did, but because they were ahead, because things were looking a little bit dire, and of course they had the gold lead, they're able to maintain a 4K advantage. Round number 2 for the Dragon, things are going to get another dicey situation. Some around, both are a little bit more alive. Take a look at what they have. Another laser crosses the beam, TheKeyboarder. Random Capitals do have to walk away. This Dragon, I think, might be forfeited over unless Bardo can get the kill off. I don't think it's going to happen. It is granted to Cupid once again.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was good force by Cupid, knowing that they were slightly stronger than the side of Akuma at that point because of the health bars. Great poke by the side of markboots on the Lux. You can just see the power of this Lux now coming through. TheKeyboarder might get caught out here by the Viego. Are they going to make something happen on him? Is a good Ashe ult, but still just goes down. Is Zhadox going to be giving his life for it? And he will be, it looks like. Questionable there if the Ashe was worth that, overall. Yeah, they're getting mid-tower for it, but they're losing so much on the backside as well.
It's you and the rest of the team, and that's going to be the problem, right? A double kill for Superyacht as he keeps gathering this gold, and yeah, Zhadox going a little bit too far into the frame, and that's one of those moments that we talk about Cupid Esports, right? They like to go a little bit aggressive, they like to get a little bit more than they could probably chew, and this time it kind of bit them off. Again, they had 2 dragons, they can do some more. I believe it's Mountain Soul to be played, or Temtech Soul to be played for here. The worst in the world, but for Akuma Scythes, with multiple members down on the enemy team, you can now clean up a lot of this freestanding gold that they've been trying to get to for the last few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see the power of even having the 5 grubs. They were able to take that very fast with the spawn of the grubbies. So taking that down now puts them at 3 towers to 1. They have about a 5k gold lead, it looks like, at 20 minutes. So again, they're in an excellent position, just like they were last game. Can they hold on and actually pull off the win this game? That's where the questions lie, because last game they had a 6k gold lead and they did throw it. So we're looking to see, can they actually come through with this game and take out the victory? And it looks a little shaky to start here, losing out on these early dragons that they do need with this early game composition.
I do feel at the same time, right, for the side of Akuma, they have a bit more agency from the champions that do have the power, right? Yes, again, we are seeing the TheKeyboarder go down, but take a look at who comes in with the rest of the kills, right? Superyacht can be a bully, so can ßirdo. These champions that we didn't see in game number 1 had so much more threat to them that even if you get TheKeyboarder low, you have to be worried about the rebuttal. Not only that, TheKeyboarder lived. TheKeyboarder is still healthy, was able to recall, was able to get to safety, and now Baron can be looked at.
Yeah, and they have a pretty good Baron take because of how far ahead they are right now. Granted, they don't have the Ashe there, so they are missing their ADC damages. It looks like they're going to draw the TP from Lux. Still sticking on it, though. Are they going to turn? Are they going to look to 50-50 this? There is no Zhadox, so looks like they are going to plan on turning instead. A great ult from the side of Renata really just now allows them to dish out the damage.
Yep, it's just that easy, right? Nice little cleanup, nice little simple pick, and again, you don't have to do Baron. You don't actually have to complete it because you know the opponent isn't going to be able to take it, right? There's no way really in the mind that Cupid are going to take it, especially with the jungler down, so you can bait it all day long. You just keep getting extra gold. Those little kills have slowly cemented a 5k lead over their opponent. If anything, Akuma Scythes, they're sitting there going, yeah, we can't let this game happen again. We can't let game 1 happen again. We need to look to finish this off.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see the power of this Renekton into the K'Sante right now. They're even levels, and K'Sante did manage to get that tower just because of the tempo, but Renekton can just walk up and chunk him to down to 75% health with just 1 rotation, and that's without Dominus. And Mother Goose had already been flown through his rotation, so it's very, very difficult for him to actually be in the same lane as Renekton in extended trades.
At this point, you're really just saying, okay, how long until Superyacht takes this tower, right? Because Dragon's coming up, it's a little bit worrisome, but I mean, for Mother Goose, you're basically just trying to play to gather as much gold as you can for the ensuing mid-game fights. That's all you're really hoping for. You're not going to duel. You're not actually going to fight Renekton. Maybe a little bit later, but it's just dangerous to do all the way around. Once again, Dragon up in about 30 seconds. ßirdo is hunting for a kill of their own. Random Capitals, who is 2-1-6, hasn't actually had the most impact either. The Talia has not exactly impressed me, but we got to see it here, right? It's going to be the big question. Major whip on the laser. It is level 2. Oh, so it's only on like a 45-second cooldown. Not that long. Still, though, feels a little bit bad to airport.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's already pretty much half off of cooldown, but the amount of pressure that you get from that ultimate is gone, right? And so the Dragon is now free for the side of Akuma to take, as it looks like Cupid might be pushing over to the Baron instead. I mean, yes, they have Callista, yes, they have Smite for the Red and Smite combo, but I don't know if they take it fast enough. force something like this to be the play unless they're just looking to make the turn for the fight, and it looks like that is what they're looking to do.
They're trying, but that's in the arrow. It lands on a priority member, but you don't really get the follow-up stun as much as you wish. Failed. Still holding on to that hostile takeover. Who are you going to get? The wall. Not really going to zone anyone off, but you do get the double counter-strike. Fate's Call going to draw in the support as Mother Goose is going to fall. ßirdo now forcing everyone to turn onto that Baron. It's going to be a 4v5 attempt. Can the rest of Cupid Esports actually find its angle? Flash out. Hostile takeover will go ahead and catch Lokidosi, and they're going to draw the ADC back. You tried to run, but you can't. Baron doesn't matter. As death blooms on the field, Cupid Esports annihilated where they stand.
Yeah, absolutely. A great hostile takeover by the side of Renata to force Kalista back in and allow them to get that kill. As now Random Capitals takes out Lux with Jax going over the backside. Yes, Zhadox does get a kill onto Superyacht on the side, but because they basically got an ace there, it was a delayed ace, they now get the Baron and they take it very fast for what they're trying to do. It looks like Mother Goose might be making the play here. I don't know. This is not the play.
Nope. Really, all you're trying to do is sacrifice your life to try and stall the Baron. Unfortunately, the Baron isn't going to be stopped, right? The amount of shred, the amount of DPS that come out from these three champions alone is more than enough. Turc going to try and run interference as well. Looks like the TP is going to come in, right? This is the appropriate response. Not only that, Superyacht going to be up in about 2 seconds. Again, everyone on the side of Cupid Esports is kind of wandering in one by one, praying that a time will come through. This time again, Baron is stopped. How many more are you going to lose? It's a massive delay as markboots is going to be dropped to 50. Akuma Scythes do have to back away from Baron, but still a costly method by Cupid.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I would agree with that method. I'd say, yeah, you're behind, but you just handed over, what, 3-4 extra kills over that on that play for just stopping Baron. In the first game, it worked around Dragon, but you were also not as far behind as you are now, and you do not have the tankiness of the comp that you had in the last game. So this is really some big question marks running in one by one like that. Really does not give a lot of confidence for them to win this game here.
It worries me. It really, really does. Whenever you see moves like that, it reeks of desperation. It reeks of you don't really have many options left. And in those scenarios, I mean, I can't say I wouldn't do the same, but how bad can it be, right? How rough is it going to be in the next few moments? Let's go ahead and watch Baron for the third time. It looks like it's going to be started up here. And that's going to be the big chance right now. A huge jump into the middle. Superyacht tries to bully everyone away because ßirdo wanted in, but no one is really going to die afterwards. ßirdo tries to get out to safety, but that's going to be a nice shuffle, but the hostile takeover does so much work, slows everyone up, and that is going to be the follow-up. Look at the Ruinance Hurricane firing away an arrow from downtown. Means TheKeyboarder is going to turn into a keyboard warrior and take a double kill for themselves. Ace for the side of Akuma Scythes.
I mean, what a play. It looked a little bit shaky at first, but that hostile takeover landing on 4 was absolutely massive and a huge swing for the side of Akuma. Now it looks like they're going to get mid lane tier 2, they're going to get inhib turret on mid lane and in bot lane. Are they also going to push the inhibs, or are they just going to go for Baron? It looks like they might be pushing for inhibs here. They are really flexing their muscles right now.
I think that's the right call, right? You tried
Absolutely.
Baron 3 times and it's been stopped each time. Main thing is because, you know, Cupid Esports have been allowed to fight out. Like, they don't have to actually do anything else. Now they do have another thing that they have to worry about. They have to worry about their fate. Huge pickup by the side of Akuma Scythes. I don't see them stopping anytime soon. Yes, Elder is not available or anything of the sort, but to play for another dragon in about 45 seconds, the world is their oyster for the side of Akuma.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they have so much pressure on this map. Now with this Baron, they're always going to have perma pressure in bot and mid, right? If no one from Akuma walks to those waves, they're still going to be pushing because of those super minions. So you're forcing Cupid to have to match those and send at least one person there in order to do them, and it can't be Nautilus. So you're looking at one of your damage dealers in order to stop those waves from pushing into your base. And it allows for Baron to come up for free, or at least a lot easier because you don't have to prep waves anymore because you're going to have perma pressure for them. It looks like it's being started up once again. Are they going to be able to take it this time?
I think they can. Either way, it's probably going to go down a little bit of a kick on the backside, and Zhadox is going to be zoned out. Arrow lands on the support, but they just say, screw the Baron again. We just want the kills. That'll be Lokidosi to go down here. Again, look at the free firing on the bottom side. The keyboarder is untouched. However, that's over the wall. That's a dangerous spot to be in. You were drawn into the fight as Mother Goose brings one. The flash away for the binding, though, allows Keyboarder to pick up another. That's gonna be multiple kills in the back pocket as 3 are dead. Baron is unneeded. The base is open for the taking. What a monumental shakeup here. This is going to be a fight for the ages to try and hold on here if they are able to stay away, but the keyboarder is just too strong. This Ashe ADC this time around, it's healing up so much. 3.5 items, not a chance to be killed. Terminus is just too strong. Bout number 3 will do nothing but hold them steady as the Nexus towers are down. Just padding the stats for a little bit longer. It will be Akuma Scythes to take that victory.
Yeah, what a game. Really, Akuma playing it very well to make sure that they can get in and deal the damage that they needed. They had the early game comp and they didn't let off the gas pedal, and they played what they needed to in game 1. They had a little bit more aggression in the top side that allowed them to transition from that that early mid into that mid and mid-late game to finally be able to close out that game the way that they needed.
It was a desperate one. Again, they had the perfect start like they had in game number 1. This time around, though, they were able to finish it off. A lot of desperation out of Cupid Esports that did not result in a steal or random kills. We talked about it, right? Those same opportunities are not always going to be afforded just as much from Cupid as it was from the side of Akuma Scythes. So right now, we are going to get ready for game number 3. We're going to the finale. Don't go anywhere. And we are set for the finale here. It is going to be a good time. I think things are starting to spice up here in Ice. We have now seen twice Akuma be able to accrue an early game lead of about 4 to 5k. And I gotta ask you, is it always the fact that it feels like, the likes of Cupid are kind of giving it over? Or do you actually think this is Akuma just building up very nice early game leads?
I think that they have good plays that they make. They make smart decisions around the map to make they see something happening and they're cross mapping continuously. And you saw in the last game that there was a focus from Cupid around those dragons, around those 2 early dragons, and they elected, no, we're not going to bring Renekton down. Instead, we're going to have him continue split pushing, take early turret plates, and really farm up a huge massive gold lead against this Cassante so that the Cassante can't really do anything. And then on the bot side, I think it was a mixture of champion identity and a little bit of skill matchup in the bot lane that allowed them to have some really good Renata ults and allow them to push off again. It's the cross map because they sent Nautilus into the Herald. They then decided we're going to keep both of ours down here and take or to the Grubbies. They then said we're going to focus on plates on the bot side, and I think that's really where their gold lead started to balloon from and allowed them to use those wallets to take the fights.
All right, well, getting into game number 3, it is going to be another challenge here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the draft and see how things get going. Both teams are now in Final Desperation mode. Again, this is just week number 1, though. Plenty more matches we played in the future. Cupid Esports, though, saying they actually want the blue side, which I think is very appropriate. Again, they get some power behind it. If you wish to try and take some power picks away, you can. At this point, though, Akuma Scythes, you pretty much know exactly what champions they are going to play. There is no big shakeup. There's nothing too crazy. It's just going to be that very simple finish off the TF, and then of course I think the Smolder's in there as well. Like these bands have really not shaken up that much.
No, they haven't. You can see power picks being taken off on both sides of the table, right? The Senna, because if they do leave that Smolder off on Akuma's side, that they get a free Smolder, and there's no infinite scaling besides like a Veigar to match him. So good globals taken away by the TF and the Nocturne. Karma, another big power pick in the mid lane and support. Kind of okay in the top. I wouldn't recommend it, but it is doable. As it looks like they're going to take Ashe off the board, since they don't want to give that over. to Akuma Scythes on the red side. That I think is a change up there, as the typical smolder ban on red side that is almost mandatory, unless you have a weird crazy counter that I haven't seen yet.
Hmm. It's the appropriate response right now, though the Ashe did play very crucial roles in games 1 and 2, so this time you go ahead for Cupid Esports. Hey, the Ashe is off the table. Let's go ahead and grab the Varus. I think this is a good call. If you go ahead and lock it in, it's pretty safe and simple. Of course, so far they paired it with the Nautilus. They haven't been willing to run it with pretty much anything else. In this response, though, Akuma, they have gone ahead and say, yeah, we can't let this be banned away. We need a solid bot lane setup. The appropriate pickup of the Ezreal can now be paired with just about anything you so wish. Might not be that Ashe, of course, but it'll be something else. As the Lee Sin for Akuma will go ahead and be locked in.
And I like the pickup of the Ezreal. It's been banned out in the first two games, so I think that that's for a very good reason. It's a strong pick, and if it's being banned out twice, that means it's probably really strong in the hands with a big comfort there. But going back to this Lee Sin, I don't know how much I like this pick. It's great for the early game, but they didn't show a good propensity for those insect kicks in those key moments that could swing the game in their favor. And now with this pickup of Vi, it's going to be even more difficult for this Lee Sin to make plays happen, as Akuma, liking that Renekton on the top side, decides to go for that one, which I think is an excellent pickup for them. Again, a very strong 2v2 in the top side so far for the Renekton and the Lee Sin. The Vi, depending on what it's paired with, can actually do very well into that, but we'll have to wait and see as bans are coming through, a Fiora being the first one being taken off the board.
Mm-hmm. This is still focused on the top side. You went ahead and blind picked the Renekton. You said, hey, on the other side, you've been willing to play a little bit slower. You've been willing to play that set. And we've dealt with the set, right? This is now twice that we've seen the set played. One time, I think both games you did deal with it in the early game. So it's appropriate. You go ahead and grab that Renekton's kind of that toss glove. No, instead, they actually opt to say, no, we are actually going to force you to play something new. If we go ahead and lock this ban in, it is fully focused. So for the first time, Cupid Esports are going to have to run a different tank in the top side.
And I think that's good by Akuma Scythes, right? Kasante is a very strong pick right now. And if it doesn't get behind like it did in game number two, it can actually match a Renekton very easily once you get into the mid to late games. And with the comp that they have set up for Cupid, it would be an excellent pick, as it looks like since they took the Talia off the board, they're going to pair the Ezreal with a Tom Kench. So a very, very safe bot lane there. Not allowing the Varus Nautilus to get any set of even inches if they can help it.
I I had mixed feelings about this, right? The Tom Kench usually you see with something like a Senna, something that doesn't have mobility. That's what the Tom Kench is there for. After level 6, you're able to use it as a functioning immobility access tool. Ezreal's already safe as is, right? Like Ezreal is already well known as a safe pickup, so I'm a little bit curious about that. That's leaning a lot into that we can receive the engage, but we're not going to deal a whole lot there. We're not going to be looking to jump onto you, and that leaves me a little bit scared for the Renekton and Lee Sin. However, you go ahead and bottleneck a little bit more. That's going to be a Corki locked in to deal with the way and Ornn that came out. Cupid building a very solid front to back team fight composition that is going to try and weather the storm no matter how long it goes on for.
Absolutely. I mean, you can look at the two identities of these comps. Cupid Esports is very much a traditional front to back, very stock standard team fight composition in the meta right now. No real complaints there from their composition. Ornn is always a staple in the top lane with a lot of non-committal engage with his Ornn horn. Hui has excellent range and wave clear. Vi, you take one champion, you lock him down, and I think that's where TK comes in, right? Because as soon as Vi goes in, the TK can go, nope, that's mine, that is my champion, you can't have him, and then give them a huge shield on the back end to allow them to stay alive even longer. So it's going to be an interesting kind of difference for Akuma, who have a little bit more of a poke heavy comp here with a Renekton and a Lee Sin to go in with that.
Yeah, I just worry about the range a little bit. We'll see how it plays out, though. Akuma Scythes versus Cupid Esports is going to be the last game here. Let's go ahead and hop over there. Once again, we thank you so much for tuning in to this rebroadcast, this coverage of our Week 1 matchup Of course, whenever you're watching this on the YouTubes or anything like that, we will have more live matches for you in the future. So again, keep up on crunch time and make sure to keep eyes on the Infinity League. It's a lot of fun and it's very entertaining. Again, right now, Cupid Esports hunting for their first series victory. Same with Akuma Scythes. And so far, one of the things I do want to see broken is this consistent 3 to 4K lead that Akuma Scythes are allowed to ramp up due to some of Cupid's more gambly mistakes.
Absolutely. I think a lot of their leads come from just macro decisions that allow Akuma to generate these gold leads. And then because of those macro decisions, they are able to quote unquote wallet slap a bit in some of these early fights because they have maybe one or two more components or maybe an item lead over just a few components that allow them to eke out a lot of these fights because these fights are still, they're not close, but they feel a lot closer than they are because of that. So what you see then on the flip side of that with Cupid is their execution in these fights has to be perfect to make sure that they can keep up even with this lack of gold that they have.
Little bits and pieces here. So everyone's getting a piece of the pie. You can go ahead and take a look. There's been a little bit of help in that top side for ßirdo. ßirdo, who again in game number 2 was an exceptional piece of the puzzle. Very I almost want to say individualistic, was able to make plays on their own on that jack. This time around, not really afforded that same opportunity. Lee Sin is able to output damage, but definitely not to the scalability as previous. So, yeah, we're Superyacht on the top side, though. Again, against another tank, just going, okay, we know how this is played. Very easy start to a level 2. And Mother Goose is just gonna sit back and wait it out.
Absolutely, and you can see the respect being given by TheKeyboarder and Failz for this level 2 from Lokidosi and Turc. As looking at where the junglers are pathing right now, they have both completed their 3 camps at almost the same time. Vi starting up slightly sooner on the Raptors to Lee Sin's Wolves. So depending on who can finish first, it looks like the Vi might finish just a few seconds before the Lee. That could be the game changer if the side of Cupid can also roam their bot lane up and maybe turn these early fights that they haven't been able to do so far.
The crazy thing is Zhadox, I think, for all that has happened in the series, has actually always been the first one on those scuttles, right? Has always been willing to kind of get there first and be able to try and almost solo focus for themselves more than anything else. And that's actually what's caught them off guard. It's not so much, hey, the pathing might be a little bit quicker or anything like that. It's just, is Zhadox going to prioritize or be looking to gather up a little extra gold for themselves? I think that's what we're kind of looking at. In this current name, though, it is going to be a hover of the side for Lokidosi and Turc. They are both hovering around that edge saying, yo, we are going to be the ones in control of river, which signals to ßirdo that you got nothing on the spot side to be able to beat.
And I think this is a good play by ßirdo to just go topside with it. Hui had push in the mid lane, was already walking down, and Corki called that out. And the push by the bot side and the Nautilus and the Varus would allow them to have an earlier roam as well. And they just have a lot more teamfight presence early on from Lokidosi and Turc than Failz and TheKeyboarder does on that Ezreal and TK. So a much better option for the, ßirdo to just go topside and take that scuttle instead. Take that trade and see if they can't get some early vision down in the topside jungle to track this Vi and where they go off their first back.
Huge part of this as well. We haven't really talked about it, but the difference in markboots. Game number 1 played that very engage heavy style with that Silas. This time around playing a little bit further away with that in the same Lux vein, being able to play that way. I mean, I gotta ask you, have you been enjoying play as it comes back up into the meta? Have you been enjoying plays kind of rise to power?
I mean, I think it's an excellent champion that has a lot that it can do. As for my enjoyment of it, I absolutely hate the champion and playing against it, to be fair, because it just does too much. I'm a support main, and from that, I like to have easy champions I can get on. I mean, he has everything. He has a speed up with his water walking ability. He has basically a fiddlesticks on point fear almost with one of his abilities, but is a key. He's like 15 different abilities it feels like he can do. I mean, everybody complained about Aphelios and what he could do. I mean, this guy does more with less, it feels like, so it's kind of insane. but I do love at least watching him play because a good Hui can take over games with just their massive range of abilities that they have.
It's very, very fair and very understandable as well, right? Gotta play it smart, and with a Hui, you gotta be extra smart. You gotta be really, really careful. So if markboots is able to have that type of impact, I'll be very excited, right? markboots has been one that we've been kind of questioning, I think, a little bit. Has had those moments, has had those glorious, like, yo, I am in control. At the same time, there have been other moments where we're just like, it's kind of been there, but not like super good, right? So I'm still waiting for both of these mid laners to kind of have that chance to shine. Right now, though, it is going to be Zhadox on the bot side after a fight breaks out. That's going to be a TP, but a nice little bump means Failz is dead. Failz will be gifted over to Lokidosi, and this is going to be the first time in this series that Cupid Esports comes out with an early game kill. However, now it's going to be answered back almost immediately. Good hook coming out of Turc. Maybe body blocking a bit, but the flash comes out here as Proto is going to try and get the safety. The Corki might be coming down, but how far do you actually get to go? Piercing arrow is going to land, and Lokidosi tries to flash in for a third. Yes, you do. That is massive amount of kills over to Lokidosi. Turc will be able to wander their way out, hopefully, but Random Capital is going to try and finish him off. Going to try and trade it to a 3v3. There's no flash available. Final Rocket will take it, but oh my lord, Ice. If that was not a huge win for Lokidosi, I don't know what was.
Yeah, I mean, he is now sitting on 3-1-0, 55 CS, and 150 gold bounty. I mean, this guy is massive, and this is exactly what you don't want as Akuma right now. Usually, they're the ones winning out on those fights. Yes, Zhadox went a little bit far, trying to get that Ezreal, and Lee Sin, of course, reading the map, knew that he had to be bot side and was there. But I think that they used to win out on those in the first two games, and here he is again trying to make something happen. He does have level 6 as well, so TheKeyboarder going down. Key thing that TK doesn't have level 6, so no chomp from him. Great hook there as Failz is going to be able to walk away, but Ezreal goes down again. Misses out on a lot of CS here, it looks like is what's going to happen as Dragon goes over to the side of Cupid. I mean, this was a huge swing of events. It is now 4-1-0 for this Varus. Not what you want to see as Akuma.
Akuma getting their own treatment, right? Cupid's in game number 1 gave up a lot. We're down multiple amounts of thousands of gold, and this time around, Cupid feel very much in control. Feel a little bit more pressuring, feel a little bit more oppressive in their stances, and I really, really like it on the top side as well. Mother Goose not going down in drastic favor, right? The plates are not falling as quickly. This game state is one that I would have to say the likes of Akuma have not had to deal with. Even this right here, a little bit disjointed again, as markboots is saying.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to be a lot faster on those kicks from Birdo to make something like that happen. You gave time for markboots to make that flash out and kicked him the wrong way because of it. So you're just not getting the plays that you were, and this is why I call Lee Sin an ego champion, because you have to execute perfectly on him. Otherwise, you don't get the plays that you need, you don't get the kicks that you need, and you don't get the leads that you need in order to win the game. As you can see, the power of Ornn here, Mother Goose is just saying, Superyacht, you can't really do what you want to do in this lane because 1, I do damage, 2, I'm super tanky, and 3, good luck getting through me. I'm always going to be useful at the same time.
Just that nice to see right now. I mean, Cupid still have a far way to go, right? We're not saying this is over by any sort of margin. It's just a much better start than we've seen previously, right? Like, this is just a much better start than we saw in previous games, so that's why we're super excited to see what can come about.
Absolutely.
Right now, way at a 92 CS, feeling pretty dang good, feeling okay, but of course, there's more to be said and waiting for players jockeying around as Cupid heavy invade on the top side.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what they need to be doing, because one thing to get Akuma back into the game is allow them to get the 6 grubs and start hitting these turrets and take them down, which is what they've allowed for the past 2 games. Instead, now they're focusing heavily onto this and saying, no, you're not going to get the 6, we're not going to give you even 5, so that way we can actually have some presence on the map on these turrets and take them down just as fast. So I like to see this adaptation in this 3-game series from Cupid to make something happen here. As it looks like we're gonna have a TP down bot to dissuade this dive.
I think that's appropriate, right? No reason not to do that. I mean, your team's taking the grubs on the top side, you're getting value, and top side, I mean, how much are you actually getting, right? How much are you actually getting out of that top lane from Mother Goose? Instead, you keep your main carry alive, and because of that, you now give yourself an opportunity here. That is going to be a chain of corruption into a knockup, and Kill Easy does it. Now, TheKeyboarder running for their life with the Ghost expended on Lokidosi. One more arrow could do it. Last sword, you could get it, but the kick is going to draw him in. Death Charge is going to slow down this initial engage, but Turc says, no, you're not going to get my ADC. A easy kill for Lokidosi and squad in the bot side is actually, that was Mother Goose to pick it up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was actually really good from the side of Cupid to short up their bot side for Lokidosi to make sure that he didn't get dove. And then Hui TPing top to make sure Renekton doesn't get a lot off of that play. They are really taking a look at these first 2 games and seeing their macro mistakes and shoring them up. As it looks like Turc might be caught out here trying to place down wards in a position that he has no teammates. He shouldn't be doing this. This was highly illegal for him to be doing, and it looks like they're trying to gift it over to him. He does not get out of this. No, he does not get out of this. This is not allowed.
No, Birdo's got it. Birdo's got it. It is
Are we sure? Okay.
Yes, it's going to be finished. It's just, it takes much longer than we expected. And for Turc's consideration, that was great, right? Like, Turc turned a terrible situation into a great one. Take a look at what Zhadox is doing on the rest of the map, right? This is one of the largest camp differences we've seen between the 2 junglers in this entire series. Zhadox able to clear out pretty much everything in the top side quadrant.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they are losing a lot on this turret, obviously, because Lokidosi is by himself and has the potential to getting dove, but on the opposite side, Vi is just so far ahead of this Lee Sin right now, has 88 to 66 in the CS. You may be looking at the kills and saying, but Lee Sin has the 2 kills, but with Vi having the 3 assists, it really evens it out a lot. And I think off of her next back, she's going to have an item, and overall, the ease of execution on Vi is going to be a lot easier than that of Lee Sin, and is going to be doing a lot more for her team than Lee Sin will be. So you like to see this coming through. Yeah, they might be slightly behind because of that, just in terms of items currently, but later on down the line, this Vi is going to be doing so much more than this Lee Sin will be.
We'll have to wait for that to actually come to fruition, right? So far, it has been still Birdo being allowed to kind of have free reign over this fight, over this game. A little bit still allowed to kind of do what they want to. I shouldn't say free reign. But Zhadox now starting to get in control. Take a look. Cupid, of course, first time they've really had Dragon control because of this bot side.
Failz is gone.
I mean, they just don't even worry, right? This Tahm Kench is a problem in the wrong way, but in comes Superyacht trying to help out because Zhadox goes down, and Zhadox actually helping out. It's going to be an easy 3v3. That's going to be random Capitals getting sniped in the background. It's a double kill coming in here, triple kill, of course, for the likes of this Lokidosi. What a nasty, nasty fight here. One from the grave. And now Superyacht's in trouble. This is a spot you do not want to be in. The Croc about to be turned into a purse. Long range knockup, a delayed ace to finish, and a TP to try and finish it. But, I mean, TheKeyboarder can't do much more than watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that turned from a good play by the side of Akuma into just a terrible play for them because the TPs and the roams from markboots getting that snipe off, and then they just couldn't get on top of Lokidosi no matter what they did. So, I mean, they have tempo now because they were able to respawn, but it was just so bad for them as it looks like TheKeyboarder is chunked to 10% health and now can't be in this fight any longer. This is not what you want to see from Akuma. They're just falling over left, right, and center.
This is almost repeat of game number 1. However, it's a much more accelerated pace. An arrow across the board will annihilate Birdo's life, and it's just that easy. TheKeyboarder, who is down at about 10%, is still on 10%. And remember, this is just to get Dragon. Take a look. Lokidosi and Turc still like, yo, we got a whole global objective to go for. It's all theirs. Akuma lost in the win as they are down 30,000 gold.
And you can see the pings already coming down while they were taking that Dragon for Herald, and it looks like they're going to say instead, let's try to go for this mid lane turret instead, really putting a lot of pressure on this map, which is usually, as it looks like, the Superyacht's going to go down, and the turret. I mean, If I was Superyacht, you can't be defending that turret 3v1 as a melee. That is not something you can be doing. And paying the price with your life for it, setting you even farther behind. I mean, Akuma looked very good in games 1 and games 2 with their early game. Looks like in game 3 that they're just floundering.
And a huge part of that, we talked about it, right? It felt like the likes of Cupid were kind of giving these opportunities over, right? It wasn't perfect, it wasn't easy, but it felt like Cupid were kind of stalling. There were some mistakes in their roams and everything like that. It shored up now in game number 3. It feels much better for them, and I'm excited to see how much further they can go. Turc, of course, walking up saying, hey, maybe we can look at this Herald. Doesn't really feel necessary, though. You've gotten pretty much everything that you could want right now. Tell me what more can you do? Turc now finally taking a look, and ßirdo having to jump away with the Herald at just 3k. That is a huge bounty available. And that's easy for them to pick up. Tower on the bot side is going to go down. But I mean, that's Herald for free pretty much. Thanks for the leash, ßirdo.
Yeah, and ßirdo couldn't do anything. You saw he had to jump away immediately because he didn't know where the rest of the team was. And yeah, they took bot tower for it, but Herald in the pocket of Cupid, they've had some questionable Herald plays in the first 2 games, but I think in this game 3, if they use it right, can really do a lot of damage and really set them even farther ahead, because you can see when they get leads, they know how to play very well, even from behind, winning out in game 1. And game 2, they played it out pretty well to make sure that they were able to survive a little bit longer than we expected. It looks like they did use the Herald, Turc able to get out, and they chunked that mid lane turret to half HP right off the bat.
That's such a nice little pick. You couldn't really do much more from that. I mean, the Heralds that we've seen so far have been kind of lackluster, right? We don't get to see like a massive tower be taken or anything crazy, but it's more than enough to give us a little bit of a zone. It's just a little bit of thought here. How much further are they going to go? Right, for Cupid, they are accelerating this game. We talked about Akuma. Whenever they got a lead, it felt like they waned and spawned a little bit. It didn't really feel like they were decisive. In their place, this feels decisive. Right, from the side of Cupid, they know what they want to go for. They know what kills they want to have. And it's just that simple. 3 against 1 in the top side, 2 against 4 in the mid lane. As Turc might get run down, but Lokidosi, take a look at that. Free firing, the arrows are looking good. A little bit of a jump forward as from below doesn't really land. And they live. Lokidosi and Turc are fine. They're chilling. They're having a ball.
Yeah, I mean, this is the power of Varus here. He was able to stack up so many kills early that they can't stand up to him. He found 2 items already, and Ezreal barely has his 1+ tier. I mean, this guy is ripping through them like there's no tomorrow, and because of that, they've taken 4 turrets across the map in the span of 3 minutes. I mean, this is absolutely insane. This is pedal to the metal pace from the side that we did not expect this from at all.
I mean, I kind of sat there and I was curious exactly how it's going to go, right? Who is going to come out on top? And with the champions available, it feels a lot more flexible from the side of Cupid, right? You can do a lot more. You can get in, and it's a lot more reliable engage with tools that you have, especially for markboots. I've been wholly impressed with how you're covering for the rest of the team, right?
Absolutely.
Up, 5 assists, 0 deaths this time around, not even worried. Getting a lot of gold in your pocket, having a CS lead over your lane opponent. This has been a great time for markboots, and I expect to see even more come the rest of the game. Right now, Turc, though, hunting for a chance to catch his Atom Kench, and Lokidosi on the other end just saying, yo, we got 4 here. What can we do? Right? Dragon's coming up in just about 40 seconds. Let's look for a kill.
Absolutely, and this is exactly what you should be doing, right? They've pressed in for their vision. It looks like they're going to get a pick onto the Renekton here. Superyacht having to push away, but Vi, this is the power of the Vi here. Nothing that they can do.
Oh, and even the Chain of Corruption land TheKeyboarder is down, and I mean the package used in almost defensive position. There's not a moment to lose as Random Capitals is literally just trying to stall out the fight, but 3 are already gone. A snipe from downtown will land. The Corki is gonna get zoned. Singular damage means enhanced damage, and Lokidosi is unstoppable.
I mean, that entire turn of play of events was in the mid lane was without the Ornhorn, and then they were able to use it to pick up another one, and this inhib turret at 20 minutes on the dot practically. This is an absolutely blitzing pace by the side of Cupid Esports. They're saying, yeah, we may not have had a good early game in game 1 and game 2, but game 3, this is our game.
when we say we want to see a game accelerated, this is what we want to see. Over the wall, helping out the rest of the team. You realize how much damage actually just came in, and the rest of Akuma are scattering. If markboots was a little bit further ahead, I assume they would have tried to wash it here. However, with Dragon available, you don't want to give it away. Again, Cupid, when they have a lead, they are not allowing it to go down at all. One more punch can do it, and it's going to be Birdo to go down. Zhadox trying to snipe on the enemy jungler.
I mean, and I have to question Birdo there. Why are you going that way through? You know that they're there. You know what their plan is. You're not strong enough to stand up to 3 of them. So it's very questionable by the side of Birdo why you're even walking through your jungle. That is not your jungle anymore. That is not your dragon. You don't have a team around you. You cannot be there.
It just hurts. It
Yeah.
hurts to watch sometimes. Like, I'm sitting here going, man, what could they have done? Honestly, I don't know what they could have done. Right? The composition felt a little bit non-aggressive from Akuma, and Cupid Esports took advantage of it, right? They said, hey, if you're not really going to aggress, we're going to fight you. The bot lane, Lokidosi and Turc, for the first time, have gotten an exemplary start to the game and kept running 11-3 and 4. What a turnaround in that essence. When we say we want to see a game accelerated, this is what we want to see, and Cupid have proven that they can do it all over again.
I mean, absolutely. You can just take a look at the scoreline right now. It's about an 8k gold lead, 3 dragons to 0. They're tied on grubs, and Baron's on the cards, and they're prepping for it. I mean, the speed at which Cupid is playing is what Akuma should have been playing in Games 1 and Games 2 with their comps. And now they actually have a better scaling comp on the side of Cupid for this game as well.
I mean, we're seeing it here. Not a chance to be wasted. Easy kills. Of course, markboots now getting knocked up in a little bit of a split fight, but the Wallet Warriors are ready to go. markboots is still alive and running away. Another snipe, but on the rest of the map, 4 members of this Akuma squad is destroyed. markboots even survives and was able to 1v1 out the Lee Sin. A follow-up knockup and a snipe from the sky brings an ace for Cupid Esports.
That's game. I don't. There's TK's up in 10 seconds. I think that's game right there. They have the wave. That's, I mean, that's the power of the wall. That's the kind of speed that you need if you're going to play a comp. And they also have the scaling on the side of them as well. This was an absolute just shellacking almost by the side of Cupid to show this is exactly how you should play this comp. They're going to try to stop it with the Lee Sin, but I don't think they can. Lokidosi just hailing in with those arrows. Well played by them. I mean, what a game.
I loved every single moment of it. The storyline, right? Every time it felt like Cupid had an idea. It went a little bit awry, and Akuma were able to take a hold of it. And I give a lot of credit to Akuma, right? When mistakes are made by an opponent, you have to be willing to take a hold of that and actually run with it. They just expected more and more mistakes. And after a while, Cupid were able to shore it up. Game number 2, still mistakes made by Cupid's side. Akuma were able to identify that and still be able to pressure forward. That was the correction. And then in game 3, right, it was Cupid to make the ultimate correction and say, we're not even going to give those early kills over.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can tell in games 1 and games 2, there's always that skirmish bot side around that first scuttle that allowed Akuma to get an early gold lead on their bot laners, and that didn't happen in game 3. And instead, it went on to Lokidosi, who then transitioned it to another triple kill just a few minutes down the line in that skirmish again. And it was just snowball after snowball after snowball for him that eventually was too much to overcome for them from Lokidosi. It was an absolute just masterclass on this Varus to show you how strong it can be into a bot lane of the TK and Ezreal, where there is no real engage that you need in order to stop something like that.
And I think this is setting up Infinity League to be very, very fun, right? This is going to be a test for all the teams joining in and facing off against either of these teams. Number 1, you can't make mistakes. Number 2, you better learn how to play proactive. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week 1 rebroadcast, or this VOD, if you will. We very much enjoyed being here. Shout out to our production, Chippy. They're making sure the show runs well, and we will see you all when it's live. My name is Orbital. With me has been Ice Fire. And we are going to be your casters for the foreseeable future. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good night.